see the kind of industries that are opening up.
This is Local Biz Now with Joe Vagnone, where your business matters. Local Biz Now.
You have to determine what is working, what isn't working.
Joe Vagnone is a respected business broker, helping individuals buy and sell businesses. Joe has successfully owned and operated many companies in a variety of industries. This is Local Biz Now. Biz Now, because your business matters.
Yeah. You are listening to the #1 live talk business show in North Carolina. I am Joe Vagnone. This is Local Biz Now, where your business matters. We hope to inspire, inform, and entertain you, because that's what we do here at News Talk WSIC 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, 1400 AM. Again, I am Joe Vagnone. This is Local Biz Now. We are live on the tubes, live on the book, live on the chain, live on the X. For those of you that don't know Joe Talk, that is Facebook, YouTube, X, and what am I missing, JoJo? Is there another one I miss? I think I got
LinkedIn,
them all.
the chain.
The chain, the LinkedIn. That's right. And every week for an entire month, we have a co-host. This month is no exception. I have my friend. I get to call him Matt. If he's not your friend, you got to call him Matthew Rand. Matthew is a business coach and personal development guru. He has also written a book called 10 Lies We Tell Our Children. I'll tell you something. It really is a great book. It's simplistic. It's easy to read. And I asked Matt to sign it so I can give it to my son, but I've yet to do that because I hate keeping it around. Matt Rand, thank you, buddy, for being here. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me, Joe. I appreciate it.
And so I don't know how we met. Do you remember how we met?
We met from my friend Solonia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That makes sense.
Yes.
She's a finance person. And
she is.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Okay. And so you were on the show, and I really liked the book. We went through the book, and what I like to do is sort of, what's the word I want to use, Matt? I like to use you as this sounding board, and my experience is nothing more than my son, right? Who just got out of college. So I kind of know more about this generation than I want to.
Okay.
And so you and I have kind of been having these conversations over the last week or two.
Yes.
So just so we can be clear, tell everybody a little bit about what it is you do in your background.
Okay, so I have been a teacher, a martial artist, an entrepreneur, and I love to inspire other people to grow under their full potential. I help people increase their sales. I show them how to invest in real estate, and I help them help them achieve their goals. And that's really what I'm passionate about doing.
And last week, we went over a list last week. I brought you another one.
Yes, I love it.
We're gonna go over it a little bit.
Yep.
And for me, I have to be careful, right? Matter of fact, as soon as we got offline, somebody put us in check and said, "Hey, don't treat." No, that was our guest last week that said, don't treat this younger generation bad. They're really sharp. They're really intelligent. So we got to be careful we don't go too far, right?
Well, of course, and everybody has a certain way they want to be communicated to, and that's kind of what we talked about last week, right? We want to treat them, with respect and the way they want to be communicated to.
And so last week we were talking about the different generations and what they wanted to get out of work, and we were going through that, But our guests felt like we picked on we picked on Gen Z just a little bit.
We did pick on them a little bit, yes.
We did, and so she was correcting us, which is what this show's all about,
Absolutely. Well, we have to have checks and balances, right?
We don't. I'm only here because the owner calls it "Pick on Joe." That's good radio. So that's but it surprised me that it was the first time I heard somebody defending that generation.
Yep.
And she was right. I mean, she made a lot of sense with that.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. So here's what I want to do. I want people to know that they can get this book. Julia's put it on the book right now. Your link is on Facebook right now. If you go to WSIC, you can click on that and get this book. It is a great book to get your kids. It really is. It's just an exceptional book. I really like it a lot.
Thank you.
Walk me through again why you decided to write this book.
Well, I love to write. And, I was inspired by my business coach to write a book. And, I grew up with a father that was in the school system. He worked for 35 plus years as a school teacher, and he was always working 3 jobs in order to make ends meet, to put bread on the table, to feed our family. He was a single dad. I have a lot of respect for the hard work that he did.
Right.
But I also thought too that something about the school system encourages people to struggle financially. And so I'm a little harsh on the school system in our book. Not any of the teachers whom I love, but not, you know what I'm saying?
And it's exactly why I printed this for us to talk about, right?
Yep.
This next article. It kind of went right in line with some of the things I think you would agree with.
Yep.
And if you don't, that's perfectly fine. We can beat up on anybody we want to do that. So, One of the things I noticed about this generation, from my perspective, it seems as though the way they communicate, which is what we talked about last week, and how defining their expectations is so different from us. Do you think we were that different from our parents? Because I certainly thought different than my dad, right?
Yes.
And mom, but I didn't think we were that far off. I just thought we wanted to take what they were doing and expand on it, or open their minds, or be more positive about it. This generation is completely different. Do you feel that way?
Well, I do. And there's a lot of neurological reasons for that, because a lot of this generation that we're talking about grew up for more than 2 hours a day on devices. We didn't have that as a kid. And my sister raises...
We go outside and play with a stick.
Yeah, go out and play with a stick, get mud on ourselves. Like we're eating dirt, and then, they're like, oh, okay, let's stay clean. You know what I mean? So it's like...
It's funny because now they want to keep the kids inside to be safe. But I can remember that's all my mom said. Go outside. Outside.
Exactly. Get out of here. Stop bothering me, right?
So here's what I want to do. I want to introduce our guest. How much time we got, Joe? We got about 30 seconds? Okay. No, as soon as we come back, I'm going to introduce our guest. Let's bring him in on this conversation, because he's our age as well. And let's all talk about this article. Okay?
Sounds good.
Let's do that. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, where your business matters. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about spectacularly making fun of all manner of generations, but mine. We'll be right back. I saw him nodding, so I thought I'd bring him in on the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah,
I already see where you're going here.
All right.
What I love about this is great for, just general survival skills that some people might be missing. And I think this is a great thing to talk about.
So, Tom, the first week he was on, we talked about his book, which is 10 Lies That We Tell Our Children About Finances, right? Then last week I had him on and we talked about the different generations and what they wanted out of work. Right. And so then
or
this,
not.
And each time he was beaten on the school system. Right. And so this article is 18 things the school system doesn't do and possibly should do. Right.
Should do.
And so I thought it was a nice thing to go. And I saw him nodding. So I'm thinking, you know what I mean? If you got something to say, say it. If not, don't.
I have a client. I'm training a client to be an announcer like me. He's at Middle Tennessee State University right now. And literally today in English class, his professor was teaching them how important it is to not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This is English in 2025.
Wow.
So yes, I'm nodding. Anytime somebody wants to be honest about the school system, my mother worked in the schools for years.
Well, and my underlying belief is patriotism here, and
Yeah.
I'm doing this to, you know, yeah.
They want to indoctrinate. They want, they want to
Exactly.
teach. Why we're 38th in the nation in basic skills.
Of course, I tell my, I've been telling my friends for years, I spend a lot of money for my son to go to school because I'm trying to breed a Republican. So I spent a lot more money than I needed to just to keep away from some of that stuff.
Private school only. Never send it. My kids to public school.
I want to homeschool my kids when I have them. Anybody out there? No, I'm just kidding.
Mark did a wonderful job about that. Mm-hmm. He really did. This is an area where Julie has so many opinions, and I'm amused with no kids how many opinions people with no kids have on kids.
Don't have to have them to
5 seconds to the music.
Joe, you be quiet. You're one of these generations that's bothering us right now.
Careful, you can make us look
They'll
bad.
turn off your butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're picking on JoJo over here. So if you don't get a sports show after this show, it's because he walked out and he's mad at us. You got 3 old farts picking on JoJo in the studio today.
I resemble that remark.
That's right. That's exactly right. You're listening to the #1 live talk business show, and we've moved it into a generational conversation on schooling and the differences between the different generations today. I wanted to pick up on a guest. Most of you have heard of him before, Tom Baker. Tom is the founder, CEO of Steering Wheel Nation. He is our guest. As you know, we normally hold our guests for the second part of the show. But as Matt and I were sitting there talking about this article, getting ready to talk about it, Tom was over there nodding his head, so we thought we'd bring Tom in. Tom, before we start picking on generational kids, fill everybody in just a little bit on what Steering Wheel Nation is all about.
Steering Wheel Nation is basically what I would call a community brand for motorsports. And the idea of Steering Wheel Nation was conceived by my desire to basically put together a platform, a community platform for fans of motorsports to come together and talk about the sport, but also be able to have access to content that we create and others create, and for sponsors or businesses who want to be involved to be able to come and then have the opportunity to be a part of all of the content and be integrated into the community, so that basically the entire marketing part of what they're trying to do is done through one place. So that's what we're building right now with Steering Wheel.
And Julie has put your Steering Wheel Nation .com on Facebook as well right now, so people can go to it and click on that. And we're going to talk in detail about that on the second half of the show. But I wanted to pull you in because Matt and I thought we might need some help in case JoJo wants to argue with us or throw something at us. So let's dig into this article, and then we'll come back to your business on the second half of the show. So I pulled an article from BuzzFeed, not for any reason other than it was interesting, not because I like or dislike BuzzFeed, but the article says 18 life skills adults should know but never learned in school. And so I took that, Matt, to be sort of my young adult son, things he should have learned. Let's go through them. I was just curious. I want to get your thought on these, right? Definitely. If you have no opinion, fine. I
definitely have an opinion, and I realize I think we have a need for general knowledge that we don't. That's not being fulfilled.
Right. So number one, which is really what caught my interest because I had to teach my son this. Number one is letter writing and sending packages. It really is remarkable. My son did not learn and wasn't part of school to learn how to write in cursive. That like amazed me. I didn't know that. And he said, but Dad, when you write, do you actually write in cursive? And I never really thought about it one way or the other. But it's even worse because he can't even write a letter to a potential client. Or in my case, I was teaching him how to write a note, a thank you note, right, in a card, something I do a lot of. I was surprised that it's not something that they focused on in school. That surprised me.
I think that's intentional. One of the things that I'm going to do when I homeschool my children is to teach them how to write in cursive, because all of our founding documents were written in cursive. And if we can't read those, if we don't understand that,
Tom, he's a conspiracist. We got a conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I'll join him and give you a quick example of why that's important, because the industry I'm in is motorsports, and you got drivers now as young as 12, 14, 15, 18 years old that are making it to the bigger leagues and being asked for their autograph.
Oh.
And I watched these young drivers try to sign their name, and you can't read it.
Really?
On an
I
autograph
never
card.
thought about that, but
Or they'll
cursive
just
has to
sign
be
the
your signature.
initials because they can't write their whole name in cursive.
Oh, wow. I would have never thought about that.
Yeah.
Also, on top of that, writing in blue pen makes a connection with your mind that will not be done through typing or any other way. So if you want to remember something, write it in blue pen.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. Number one. Number two, cooking. From meal planning to shopping. Now, I know this from my son. He actually enjoys what, that's my background, right? I did it half my life. He enjoys watching me cook. He enjoys learning from me how to cook, but he cannot put together a meal plan, put a list together, and go to the grocery store, get those things. I mean, I have to help him with that. That surprised me. So it's this sort of systematic thought from start to finish on a meal. It's very surprising to me.
Yeah. I love cooking. That's one really thing that my mom's really good at. And a lot of our family express love through cooking. So I think it's a key skill to have, and I love to do it. I know a lot of people don't, but I think it's good to know how to do for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, not only that, but we're learning that as costs go up in restaurants, because this entire generation, maybe two since I've been around, has moved towards eating out. When we grew up, it was a big deal to eat at McDonald's. Yeah. I mean, it was like my parents would tell us we were going to go to McDonald's on Saturday. It was a big deal all week. Yep. Now we eat out at least one meal a day.
Yeah, it's amazing how the world's changed. I didn't get the cooking gene. My mother was okay. She was able to do it, but when she first was going to marry my dad, her father warned my dad about this part of their relationship by saying that she can't boil an egg. So I'm a master of the microwave.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, microwave.
Okay.
Food costs are going through the roof too now.
Yeah.
So, yep.
It almost is cheaper for a single guy to eat out.
Okay. Paying bills by mail. That's so funny. Most of these kids, they have an app. That's how they pay for everything. And if that app goes down, they do not know how to pay for it. I mean, they would use that as an excuse to tell MasterCard why they couldn't pay the bill, right?
Yeah.
But the app went down and think that would be okay.
Yeah.
I guess that was it checks in the mail.
Absolutely. One of my favorite comedians, a guy named Stephen Wright, says that bills move through the mail at twice the speed of checks.
Yeah.
Stephen was great.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I spent half a lifetime, I guess I should say, learning how to float those checks. I mean, it was absolutely something I did.
Yeah. I mean, I have experts that can show you how to float your debt.
That's right.
I mean, there's definitely ways to do it for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Budgeting is something our kids have not learned how to do. That is disappointing. But I think we've had a lot. That's something that I've heard for years and years and generations and generations.
Well,
that's not a singular generation.
No. And listen, I'm not a big fan of Dave Ramsey, but just to pick on him a little bit. But he said budgeting is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. right? And just as an entrepreneur, he's great for employees and things like that, and not so good for entrepreneurs. And there's nothing wrong. He's very successful, helps a lot of people. So that's kind of one of the things he said about it. So,
okay, if you'll do it, you'll find that you'll be more in control. But it takes, just like planning a meal, it takes time to sit down and think about it. That is the problem we run into. Okay, next one, because I want to try and get through as many as we can. Understanding the different kinds of insurance. You know, that one was surprising to me, but you would think education would go in detail about something as important. And when you think back about it, I never heard a teacher say a single word about insurance ever.
Yeah.
It's a big part of our lives.
It is.
I think there are some things that those in charge of our education, and this I would go back to even when I was in school, probably don't really want us to be masters of.
Oh, I'm with you on that 100%. The problem is that
I got two conspiracy theorists here. That's
okay.
what
I'm just going to
sure
go out
about.
on a limb and say it's slightly boring, just like taxes are slightly boring.
Yeah.
But if we don't understand them, we don't know them, we're going to be victim to it. And so part of the problem is everybody's ADD and they don't want to spend any time learning about this stuff. You know.
Interesting. So next one, because I want to get as many as we can. This one was interesting. Government from the bottom to the top. You know, it talks about how we never had conversations about who our council people were and the mayor and the role of the mayor. Because, you know, different towns and different cities have the mayor's role is a different role, government role. And if you have that conversation and then move up to the president, it's you feel and see the control. And they were describing this, and that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, we're taught from the top down, really.
That's right. That's correct.
Yep.
Yes.
And we stop after Senate. We're like, we don't need to know any more than that.
I was in the minority on that one because we actually had a mock mayoral debate when I was a senior in high school inside of our social studies class.
Hey, so you want to give a little shout out to that teacher, don't you?
Well, you know, in the school district in general, because they really did do a good job of teaching us about the community around us and had different, speakers come in or whatever. But,
okay, here's another one. Cleaning your house. Most people do not know how to properly clean their homes. Can you believe that?
I do.
I can't believe that.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's some statistic or something where wealthy people spend more time cleaning things. There's a correlation between cleanliness and wealth.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's surprising. I would feel like wealthy people would spend more time having others clean things.
Well, they probably do.
Yeah.
They probably delegate that, right? You know, there's a guy that, he makes
Part
$4
of the
million a
80-20
year and he
thing.
says, you know what? I have someone else mow my lawn.
Right.
You know.
And number 8 is laundry. That doesn't surprise me. You know, that it takes some time to
Let's
learn
throw
that.
them all in together.
That's right. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll try and get the rest of the list. We'll be right back.
That if you go out...
Yes. You two switch.
When do we... Oh.
Switch seats.
Okay. You're going to be in the hot seat.
out here. Okay.
But we're going to still keep talking about this list.
Okay. Right.
All right.
Is that comfortable?
Yep.
I'm going to raise it up just a little.
Out. It's back in.
Yours is
Perfect.
about perfect. Ever so slightly.
These seats were not built for short people.
Now, Matt, don't pick your nose because you're still on Facebook right now. I just want you to be aware of that right now.
Musical chairs.
Hey, I tell you, this kid's generation gets no respect.
Not from me. I pick on him constantly Monday afternoon. I come here to pick on Joe. Okay. So we're going to finish this, and then we're going to dig into your business.
Okay.
I love number 10. That's huge.
Navigating without a phone. Oh.
You know how screwed people are if their phone went down, they would
I
not
can't
know how to
have
get
maps.
anywhere.
But you know, that even now, even real. I mean, if we're going somewhere and we don't know the route, what do? Maps.
Yep.
When's the last time you studied a paper map? And that used to be a fascination for me. I used to love looking at maps.
Yep.
I haven't looked at a map in ages.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you where half the cities in North Carolina are.
Yep. Well, I have a road atlas in my car just in case that happens, and I know how to use it and read it. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where do you even find them anymore? That's
I think I got it from AAA, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, gentlemen. Get back to work.
Do it.
Yeah. You are listening to the #1 live talk business show in North Carolina. I'll prove it to you. We've been doing this show going on 12 years strong. We have well over 910 small business interviews with community leaders and owners. We have well over 737 interviews that are live on the tubes. You can go to our YouTube channel, Joe Vagnone Business Broker. Again, Joe Vagnone Business Broker, and you will see all of those videos. Please subscribe to that. We would appreciate it. We are live on a book, live on the tubes, live on the chain, and live on the X. This is Local Biz Now, where your business matters. And I'm here with my co-host and friend, Matt Wren. Matt is a personal business coach and personal development guru. He has written a book that is absolutely extraordinary, Financial Superstitions, 10 Lies We Tell Our Children. And I'll tell you something, it's a great book. Please go by and get it. Julie has put that link on Facebook. And Matt, thank you, my friend, very much for being here, buddy. I know you've driven a decent ways to get here, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have a co-host who we snuck in a little early to the show, Tom Baker. Tom is the founder, CEO of Steering Wheel Nation. Tom, I went to your website. It is just phenomenal. Your website describes connect directly with drivers, teams, and fellow fans. And essentially, you've created an online community of people that are interested in motorsports. Is that a fair concept?
It is in its most basic form. And that's exactly what was going through my mind when I started the process of trying to build Steering Wheel Nation. Was I wanted a place to put all of the media content that I created, put all of the content about my drivers that I work with, but also a place that could be a community. And I sort of, in my mind, I had the neighborhood bar and grill for motorsports. So you think about, Cheers, right? And everybody gathers around and just chit chats and has a good time talking about things they're interested in. And in this case, centered around motorsports. And that's kind of what we're slowly creating.
And if somebody wanted to do that, how could they get up with you, buddy?
The easiest way is tom@steeringwheelnation.com. You can email me. That's probably or if you go to Steering Wheel Nation, which is at the Wheel Nation on Facebook or Instagram, just get in the DM and send me a message. But
it's a great website. And if you have any interest in any type of motorsports, not just NASCAR, I mean, this is broad.
It is, yes. A lot of short track grassroots, but it it gets into international racing and all of that, and we got different communities, people can just go to the website and join the various communities, and then they can put their own content in there. So the conversation happens a lot like if you had a Facebook group. But the key is that you're not dealing with all the other crap that we all have to deal with on Facebook, right? So that's what we're trying to create.
And we're going to dig into that a little bit more. I want to finish this article with you, gentlemen, if you don't mind, which is 18 life skills that we think have never been taught in school and should have been. And before the break, number 1 was letter writing. Number 2 was cooking. Number 3 was paying bills by mail. Number 4 is budgeting. Number 5 is understanding the different types of insurance. Number 7 is cleaning your house. Number 8 was laundry. All of those things. And it's funny because we do all of those every day of our lives. None of that is taught in school. And it really is interesting. This list just kind of hit home for me. So number 9. Okay, 9 being life skills that have not and are not being taught in school. Car skills. Now there are some technical high schools that'll do some of that for you, right? But you know, it's funny because my car is leaking a little bit of oil. My son said, "Dad, have you checked that?" And I said, "Son, the car still starts. I'm not, you're saying, Tom, cars is not my thing, right?"
Well, they're not mine either. Racing is, but I'm not a gearhead.
But he looked at it and said, Dad, you need to go ahead and check that. And it is something I never learned. And even to this day, I've not opened a hood to a car because I know there's nothing I can do inside there. I just bring it straight to the... But I should have learned that years ago. So they got me on this one.
It is
they
interesting.
Got me.
And it's a different world now, too, because
it really is.
When we were younger, what was your first car?
Right.
It was probably, a rebuild kind of thing,
It
right?
was,
Or
I called it the Green Hornet. Yeah. It was an AMC Hornet.
Now we buy our kids brand new vehicles, right, man?
I had a Plymouth Valiant Slant 6, right?
Oh,
It was a
nice.
68 or 69.
Nice.
Now that is a hood that I could lift up, and I promise you, I could point to every part on that.
I remember.
So car skills is it? That's generational too, right?
Yeah.
That's something. Okay, number 10. Navigating without a phone.
Yeah, this is really important. When I was, first out of college, I did several jobs which involved door-to-door sales and being able to map and read maps and things like that, making photocopies of maps, highlighting routes. I learned how to read paper maps when I was in my early 20s. And that was super important skill to have right now, because I know if the internet goes down or my phone goes down, I can pull my road atlas out and figure out how to go anywhere I want to go in the country.
My wife nicknamed me Broken Compass. And I'm telling you, my life changed when GPS came out. It absolutely changed my life. I had 2 or 3 pizza shops in my life that was delivery, and I never made a delivery because I'm dyslexic. I can't read the map.
Yeah.
And then find it. And then even trying to read a street sign as you're moving is really hard for me. So for years, people would make fun of me. I never delivered a pizza and had three operations.
Makes sense, though, because you processed
This changed my life. So this one here is absolutely important if you can do it.
Well, we have apps to do that stuff right now, but the idea is to be able to survive without the app.
That's right. That's right. I would not. I'd need you. Okay, number 11. Healthy, safe social media usage. So they want that taught in school. You know what? I'd rather them teach that than sex education, if you want to know the truth.
Well, they seem to be more concerned with teaching us things that shouldn't be on social media, right? These days, I mean, that's the reality is that we've injected a lot of things into our kids' education that would be the things that you and I would want them to stay away from on social. Right.
Right. That was interesting because that could go either direction, if you want to know the truth on that one.
Sure.
But this is kind of pointing to the fact that they should be teaching communication skills, and they're not anyways, right? Because that respect, it's going to happen whether I'm talking to you on Facebook
I think the words
or
healthy
in
and
person.
safe in there are super important, you know?
Okay. Okay. Number 12. Again, we're putting a list together of life skills our children should know and did not learn in school. Basic first aid. Now, I just want y'all to know something. I have saved 4 people's lives. I joke about it all the time. My wife choked a couple of times, and I've told her I've saved her life a couple of times. But literally, I have done this and saved people's lives with this. I was taught this.
So was I.
In high school.
Yep.
I'm sorry, in college. And,
Okay,
and
for me,
so
it was high school.
this is not one I'd agree with. I think this is absolutely taught in a good way,
I
in my
wonder if
opinion.
it's taught as much today as it was back in our day, though.
I think it's
Well,
important.
you
very
might be
sure.
right.
Yeah.
You know the song that you're supposed to sing when you're giving CPR?
No.
Staying alive, staying alive.
The problem is I just can't hit the high notes.
Exactly.
I just can't hit the high notes.
Okay, but I'm going to disagree with that one because I was taught that. So, and I didn't want to go to the class.
Well, the question
I was
is
forced.
it being taught today to people?
No, that's true. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, number 13. We're almost done with the list. How to handle emergencies. Huh. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't have an opinion on that one.
I think it's critical. It's more an emotional thing. Like, okay, so I used to work at a suicide hotline, and I helped talk someone down off a ledge one time.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, and so it's more about staying calm and cool and rational rather than letting your emotions take over.
I had that experience in person.
Okay, we got about 4 more to do. We only got about a minute and a half. Let me just run through these. Resume writing, social etiquette, self-care, and goal setting. Goal setting kind of is almost like the other 3 that we had talked about. All of those to me, they kind of, resume, social etiquette, self-care, goal setting. I plug them into this category of things that you would have thought somewhere in school they'd have picked them up.
Yeah, I have a big opinion about goal setting. Okay. 95% of people who set goals never reach them. 93% of people who belong to a mastermind group, hold them accountable, reach their goals.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's good to know. Go find yourself a study group.
Yeah.
Or a group, master group. And the last one is basic home repair. And that's going to be really important as they get older. We're going to find that to be true. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to learn all about Steering Wheel Nation. Tom Baker, founder, CEO of Steering Wheel Nation. Julie has got his email on the book. Go by and check out his website as we are talking about it. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone, where your business matters. We'll be right back.
Get into more detail.
So one of the people that I really like talks about the difference between being a warlord or a brain slave. Warlord is a generalist that can really do a lot of different things, right?
Okay.
Versus a brain slave is like, hey, I only know how to do this one thing, and that's what school trains people towards,
So,
See, I'm all about teaching goal setting,
Julie,
but you have to teach goal getting.
Yep.
And teach them how to think about the goals and then what steps to take.
Right.
Yes.
That's the problem.
I don't think we work enough with kids individually in schools, and that's why some of these there's schools now that are designed around motorsports.
Yep.
That are great charter schools, and they give the kids, they use motorsports as the backdrop for English and all the other things.
Yes.
It winds up being a much
Joe,
better
you're a fine
education
man. I
because
just
the
don't
kids
want
are
anybody to
motivated
know
to
it.
learn because they're using.
It's all about fun.
Yeah.
There's an element of fun
Yep.
in there in the education that keeps them engaged.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
we're going to have to delete that. So years ago, I got an old Cadillac. It's 2013 Cadillac, right? And I got OnStar stuff that they had back in the day, right? I called it the blue button,
Yeah.
and Julie knew about it. And it's what changed my life because I could just press the blue button. I paid top dollar for that baby, right? You know, I pressed the button and they dropped straight to my screen exactly where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
Where as soon as I got it, brand new, got it straight from the dealer, right? I push that blue button and I say, ma'am. She says, yes, how can I help you, Mr. Vagno? I said, could you tell me where the closest Dairy Queen is? She said, sir, you do know that we know exactly where you are and that we know you're sitting in front of one. But that's the day my life changed.
So I used to work with
For better and
Leno
worse.
back in the day, and he made a joke about OnStar, and he said, do I want OnStar calling the cops on me if I'm in an accident? It's like they should be providing me with an alibi, you know?
I got it. Bring it to me, JoJo. Am I live and not knowing it? Yeah. You are listening to the #1 live talk business show in North Carolina. I'm coming to you from the Burner Cigar Studio. Please go by, check them out. They're in Birkdale Village, also in Denver on Highway 16. Go by there, tell them Joe sent you, and your first cigar is on me. Burner's Cigar in Birkdale Village and also in Denver on Highway 16. Great people, premium cigars. Life is good at Burner Cigars. Go by there, tell them Joe sent you, and your first cigar is on me. And I'm here with my co-host, Matt Rand. Matt is a business coach, personal development guru. Matt, thank you, my friend, for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And, of course, our guest for the day is Tom Baker. Most of you have heard him he has had his own radio show for years. He is the founder, CEO of Steering Wheel Nation. Tom, my friend, thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back.
So Tom, and it has been a while since you've been on the show, right?
It has been a while.
Yeah.
I've lost some hair, and I think you and Matt found it. I think that's how that worked.
You lost hair, I gained weight.
Hey, didn't you used to have curly hair back in the 70s when you played Doctor Who?
No, I had a 5 head when I was 4. That's how that worked.
So one of the things I want to talk about is how did you get into motorsports, right? It's funny because so many people have different stories and about the passion of motorsports. So kind of you don't got to go back to 1962, right? But just kind of give me an idea of how that happened.
Well, I will say that I started. My parents started taking me to the local track when I was 5, and that was 1973. And I think that the experiential motorsports is a very experiential sport. No matter how much TV tries, it cannot do motorsports justice because you cannot replicate being in the middle of a large crowd of people who are all screaming for their favorite driver, and the smell of the food at the concession stand and all of the smell of the methanol or the fumes from the cars and just the energy and excitement and the roar. You can't get that from television. And so I'm thankful that's how I got started. And so I got hooked immediately. And I can tell you, I can still remember more about the races in the first year or two that I went way back then than I can remember about races I saw 4 years ago.
You know, Tom, as you talk, there's two things I remember about sports. And the first one was we lived in Cleveland at the time.
Yeah.
I can remember my father bringing me to the first Cleveland Browns game.
Oh, wow.
Walking through the stadium, old, dark stadium, right? But the minute you walk and see that green grass, you're like, whoa.
Yes.
It's as if you've never seen that before.
Yes.
That I can remember the same moment when a friend begged me to go to a NASCAR here in Charlotte. I can remember it was just getting ready to start. I heard somebody say, "Gentlemen, start your engine." And I was stepping into the stadium. And when they turn those cars on, it's a feeling I can't describe. The only thing that beats it is the first time they're driving by you when you're sitting in your seat.
Yeah.
You know, and those are moments in time, you know, that you carry with you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I had a flashback of when I was 8 years old and my father took me walking out right behind first base at Fenway Park.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I watched
Yeah, again.
Kyle
Yeah.
Yastrzemski hit a home run.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you're a kid,
So I get that.
Yeah.
you experience things so differently because you don't really understand what's happening. You know, everything is just it's sensory overload.
Yeah, but Tom, the difference is, you know, Matt and I, we went to these things. We keep them as good, positive experiences. We didn't turn them into jobs, right? We didn't turn them into to businesses, to careers, right? So in your case, you literally turned it into a career.
Yeah, I've always believed that if you can make your passion into your profession, you'll never work a day in your life, right?
Yeah.
And who wants to work?
Yep.
Yep.
Right? That kind of speaks to the generational thing we've been talking about, right?
Yep.
So, how I got actually involved in it was in 1988, my mother dropped the local newspaper in front of me. There was an ad for a racing writer. And she hounded me into applying for this because
she knew you would love it.
She knew,
Yeah.
well, she believed I could do it. I was scared to death. I really wasn't a writer, though I was good at English and good at writing. I had no aspirations of that. And it wanted writing samples. It's like, what am I going to give? So I'd been reading all the racing trade papers and magazines. So I looked at a column and said, well, okay. So I didn't copy the column, but I made one up that looked like it, the format and all that.
Right.
And then I sent in a fiction story that I'd written in 10th grade about a race. And I figured, good. Now I've made
Mom's
mom
off
happy,
my back.
and we're good to go until I got a call about a week later from the sports editor wanting me to come in for an interview. And then my mother, of course, you know, smiling, I told you, you're going to get this. And then I get in there and it's like, well, it's between you and another guy. He's got more writing experience, but you know more about racing. And I figured, okay, good. The writer wins. Thank you. Have a nice day. And then I got another call that wanted me to do a second interview, and he gave me the position on the spot. It was like, I literally looked at my sports editor, you can't make this stuff up. And I said, what do I do now? He said, write something. I said, but what do I write? And and then it kind of clicked what my fear was. So he said, who is your favorite driver of all time? What do you like or hate about motorsports? And he started throwing ideas out at me. And then I kind of went, okay, now I understand what he's doing. I can do this. And just that's when all the trouble began.
So let's go past all that, because I noticed on your website and through your podcast and I know you're doing a radio show, sponsorships have been sort of the core to motorsports.
Yes.
It just is, right?
Yep.
Any way you go, any way you
is.
cut it, you know. And how has that affected your business overall? Because I had Nana, you know, work for Roush Racing for years, and she would share with me the challenges of one day you're flush with sponsors, the next day you're not. You don't have 5 cars anymore. You now only have 3 cars, right?
Yeah.
And so walk me through how that affects a small business like yours, because I have to imagine it's very challenging.
Well, in a couple ways, in my case, because half of my business is media content. I've got a TV show now that we do weekly on PowerTube TV that needs advertising because you have to pay for production and pay for studio and all of that. And then the other half is working with drivers, and you know, that the drivers you're working with at some point, because I haven't been fortunate enough to work with any of the ones with resources to write a check to a Cup team yet, or an IndyCar team. So that enters into, if they're going to advance beyond a certain level, you have to be able to acquire the sponsorship. So part of the reason why I built Steering Wheel Nation the way I have is because from the driver's side point of view, they don't always have a very large following on social media because they're local racers or
Right.
regional racers, and it's hard to get that, right?
And they need that before they can get sponsors. How do they get sponsors?
Well, and so
it's
I
a chicken
said,
and the egg.
I've got to go outside the box here. So I've tried to build the media side to have an audience big enough over there to put into that sponsorship proposal to add to the driver's audience, so that now instead of, a few thousand people a week at the racetrack, you've got 1 million from the TV show or whatever the case
Right.
is. And so, trying to create as much as many eyeballs, even for the drivers and the teams and the events that I co-promote, as possible. And so, trying to sort of create that energy through a multitude of different ways and sort of outlets in the sport. And because it is tough, it's tougher than ever now. And
So,
social media just makes it that much harder.
So this is going to be a sloppy question that I'm going to ask you, okay? So I interpret your business to be unique and have this differentiating aspect because, in fact, you are helping drivers, and I get a chance to be involved in that community
Yes.
as drivers are emerging in that. Am I close to where we are here?
Do you mean if you're the sponsor or if just as a fan?
That's the point that I want you to talk to, because
Okay.
it depends on which direction you're coming from to your website, but they're all there.
They're
It
all
is the
there.
driver and the sponsor
Yes.
and a guy like me that just might be interested. That's what's unique about this.
At its core, steeringwheelnation.com, our actual app, it is an app, it's not a website. Our app basically is a community app that as we continue, and we've just unveiled it and we're just starting to push the communities. We just want a place. It's almost like wanting to be the Facebook of motorsports, but I don't want to be that big. But I want to, it's a place for people to come and talk racing. That's really and it just happens that I have drivers. We put content up there from all over the sport, so it's not just ours, but we have TV, we have podcasts, and of course, from a sponsor's point of view, they get to be involved in all of that.
And from a driver standpoint, they get to learn and mature
Right.
and deal with me, the fan, and the sponsor, right?
Exactly.
And all of that together.
It's all about just trying to create an audience.
I heard someone say that politicians should have to wear jackets, just like race car drivers
Williams.
do.
That was,
Who was that?
yes.
Who was that?
Yeah, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, right, exactly.
Every
He said
member
that.
of Congress
Yeah.
should have to wear a NASCAR suit with all of their
sponsors
donors.
on it. Yeah, so you know, right?
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So, Tom, my time constraints here, buddy.
Yes, sir.
What's the last thing you want to say to somebody that's thinking about going to your app?
Well, if you're a race fan, come and check it out for the content that's there. And of course, every Friday night, 8 o'clock on PowerTube TV on their podcast channel, our show airs, and then about 10:30 on the main channel. And you can watch them all through steeringwheelnation.com as well. We're going to live pretty quickly here. In fact, we got a live show Wednesday night at 8 on steeringwheelnation.com. And
Wednesday night at 8,
Wednesday night, 8 Eastern,
steeringwheelnation.com.
steeringwheelnation.com live. Go to our Facebook at The Wheel Nation. Same with Instagram.
Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Tom, thank you, buddy. I really do appreciate it. Matt, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you next week.